This is going to be a spontaneous video because I wasn't gonna do it today. I was actually thinking about doing it Monday. Today is Friday. But no matter what, I have to move several cars to get this car outside. So I have a flashlight and I'm gonna walk around it and see if we can point out all the flaws that it has. To start with, this is 1997, I believe. It's a BMW 735i. Very interesting car. It has a factory manual transmission. It's a 3.5 liter V8. It's actually very much the same engine as a US spec with a 4.0, but this is just a slightly smaller displacement and slightly less horsepower. But it's a quick car because of the manual transmission. And it has kind of a unique equipment, especially for Europe, because, for example, it has the multi-contour luxury seats, which we don't normally see on these cars in Europe. We have sold a few of these with these engines, and we also had one that was a 740 with the manual transmission, as well as one or two that were 728 with a straight six. Let's start with the paint and with the outside. Now, the car is from Spain. I can verify that, but that means no rust, which is always a good thing. Now, the bad thing about Spanish cars is that they always have some paint work. They always, I guess, get run into small fender benders. And sometimes the paint work is great and sometimes is not that great. This car actually doesn't look bad at all. Let's start from the front. If you look at the front of the car, it doesn't even have a lot of flaws here. Really the only thing I see is a couple of small chips here and there. Now the car is also dusty, so what you see is a lot of dust on it. And here on these trims below the headlights, it's some pitting. But the bumper looks good. I think we may have repainted the bumper. I can look in the system, I don't remember, but I think the front bumper may have been repainted because it had a crack. And again, I will verify that. But we did not paint the hood. That was that was original paint, or if it was painted, it was done previously. It is a black car, so you're gonna see a little bit more imperfections. Plus, in the showroom with this light, you're gonna see even more. So let's start from this side. There is a little paint damage right here on this edge, so that probably just takes some touch up because it's a very small area. And you got some scratches here under this, that's better, under this trim piece. And I think as far as this side goes, that's really about it. This trim on the bottom, it's torn, but I think you can still buy these bottom door trims. You can still replace them. And then I can just see some very, very light scratches that most of which probably will buff out. Other than that, here, if you look very closely, and I don't know if this is visible, I think it is, there is like a dent. It's not really small, but it's also very, very shallow. So when you're standing up, you don't even see it, but from this angle you can see that little line here. So that's it's like a crease, maybe not a dent, it's a crease. And that's really about it. Again, light scratch here. This here, that looks like it was just touched up area. I think whoever was backing out this car here maybe touched the wall, but it's some scratches and looks like it was an area here that was touched up. I can just feel it under my finger. The rear bumper does have some markings, you can tell. Whoever had it maybe ran into things at low speed, and it just got chips on the rear bumper, but I don't think it's cracked or anything. Yeah, it's not. And again, a lot of dust on it. And here there is a little speck right here. There is a speck that looked like a bird dropping that just wasn't cleaned on time. Glass looks good, and I think it's all original from what I can tell. Interior is super nice, but we'll look at that in a second. It does have a sunroof. Front windshield is not original. Very seldom it is. And on this side you got a little bit more imperfections. Here below this turn signal there is a touch-up area right here. Then you got another touch-up area right here with a small dent and some light scratches, and then it looked like a piece of paint chipped off and somebody touched it up. Then you got another little scratch here, and I think the rest of it is pretty decent. There are some minor light scratches here, but the rest of it is nice. One thing I've noticed when this car was sitting outside in the sun, that, and you have to look at it at a very certain angle, so it's not something that's going to be visible, but I just wanted to be up front with this. I think it was the quarter panel that when the light hits it in a certain way, the quarter panel was like a different shade from the door. It's not really visible when the car is in the shade. It's not really visible now, or maybe it is, I don't know, but that quarter panel was like slightly darker. Not a huge difference. Again, only I could see it in a certain angle with a certain light. And then you got some scratches here on this bumper cover, and it looks like there is it's a paint crack. I don't think it's the bumper that's cracked, it's just the paint that's cracked right here. The bumper is still intact. So obviously, you know, this rear bumper would have to be refinished for it to be nice. Now the tires, I think the rear tires were new and the front tires were slightly used, something like that. But basically the tires are in good shape. Now the wheels are in good shape in terms of there's no curb brush on them, and really they're not scratched up or anything, but they are faded. So, you know, they just age. They have to be maybe refinished or maybe polished. I don't know how you fix these wheels. But they don't really have any scuffing on them or curb brush. They're just faded. Let's look inside. The inside is very nice. Wait till you see the headliner. It's Bentley style headliner. I actually purposely left it like this because obviously it was fixed by someone, the previous owner, but the way it's fixed, it actually looks pretty cool, and it looks like they took a lot of time to do this because it's done very methodically as far as the spacing of these little pins. I just wanted to leave it alone because I just kind of like the repair. But obviously the headliner was sagging, and for a proper repair it would have to be replaced. Door panels look nice. The seat look nice. These are the multi-contour seats. They're really nice on these older cars. BMW was the first one that came up with these seats, and they were extremely comfortable. This car is very comfortable. It's an older car, but it's one of these few older cars that don't drive like old cars. They drive like modern cars, and they're comfortable, they're quiet, and they're also very powerful. But again, there's really not much to mention on the interior other than that headliner. And then here, this piece has a crack. It's probably one of the most often broken parts on E38 and E39. These pieces are very cheap, and I think dealer still offers them. We didn't replace it, but because it's still intact. Sometimes there's this bolt over here that breaks, and then this thing kind of comes all apart completely, but this one is still holding. It just has a crack from the bottom, but again, it's a very inexpensive repair. Everything else is good. Now, since this is a spontaneous video, I hope this car starts. Sometimes these batteries go flat. This car has not ran in some time. There we go. It's definitely cold start. It is loud, or it sounds loud because it is inside, but it runs good. One thing I did notice, we didn't really dig into it. When the car came in, the radio was working, and now if you push the button, it doesn't power up. I was going to Google it, but quite frankly, I forgot. I don't know if there is a fuse, because if you look at this top unit here, that's also related to the radio, and that's not even lit up, and it was all working when the car came here. We didn't really do a lot of work to the car, but we did a few little things, and I'm trying to think if anything that we did could have caused this to happen. Maybe we did something and blew a fuse, but again, I know the unit is good, and this was all working, and there was sound and everything, so right now there is not. AC seems to be working. Let's pop the hood and look at the engine. Yeah, the moonroof opens and closes. As far as all power features, I think everything is working fine. Not sure about the rear shade because the car has it. Oh yeah, it goes up and down. Well, that's rare, but it's working. All the seat controls work, windows, all the good stuff. The car runs great, by the way. These V8 engines were very good engines. Oh, I forgot that there are two people needed to open the hood, because it has two latches, and when you pull the one inside, this latch opens and this one gets sticky. So I can't open the hood because nobody else is in the showroom, but maybe on the next video we'll just shoot a separate video of just the engine. The hood opens, but it just has to be two people. One has to push on this side while you pull the cable. The only other thing I want to mention, and again, there are no drivability issues. The tires are good, the clutch feels good, the car drives very strong, it drives great. But the only other thing I want to mention about the mechanical is that it does have some fluid leaks, maybe not a lot, but if you look at the top of the engine, you can see there is some seepage from couple of places. And these engines are kind of known for leaking. The good thing is they don't really leak from a lot of places. You could have a leak from a valve cover, or you could have a leak from an oil pan gasket, and I think that's really about it. There could be a leak from maybe the front timing chain covers. But on these older V8s, they were not bad to work on. And again, the leaks that this car has are not really crazy, but they're just sippages, and you can see there's some moisture on the bottom of the engine. But the engine runs great, and it sounds good too. Sounds like somebody may have done something to the exhaust, although it's hard to tell because it looks pretty original. But you never know, maybe a silencer was removed. Generally speaking, it's a solid car, rust free, mechanically sound, and pretty unique. Call us with questions.